Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Scale Riders podcast. My name is Brandon Boyd, known also as Brando Commando 1986. I'm happy to welcome you to episode 188. Enjoy, as the model car culture is covered from all across the planet.
Hey, what's up, Edgar? What's up, everybody? Andres 3000, LUGK. So the question I was asked was, what is my favorite part of a build and why? That would have to be the interior. However, I like to have as many times as possible the paint already done, decals on, clear coated, cut, polished, all that, chassis finished, engine finished, and in the chassis, and the wheels and tires done. So the interior is either halfway done, almost done, or barely started. The reason for that is I have a picture in my mind of what I want the interior to be like, but it's very hard for me to envision past a certain point. Like, okay, so is this color for the body gonna go good with the interior? I try to pay more attention to the interior than the body or anything else because I sometimes tend to treat these models like a car in real life. I'm riding inside. You know what I'm saying? I'm not riding on the hood. I'm not riding on the trunk. I'm not riding on a wheel, on a rim. I'm riding in the interior, so that's very important. I want to be comfortable. I want it to look nice. You know, I want to add any accessories or make any custom touches that I like for me, and anything else is comes second, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I tackle the interior. For instance, I might throw a Mexican blanket on the dashboard just because here in Texas, or on the seat, you know, the heat is so bad that it'll fade everything. I mean, within a matter of months. If you don't have a carport, if you don't have a garage to store your ride in, the sun won't do that. Then, depending on the body color, I'll decide the color of the interior, if I want to go with flock for carpet, or with paint for leather. If I want to do seat belts, if I want to add like a custom air freshener, if I want to add a sound system in the back, for instance, on the Fox Body Mustangs or any hatchback that has the window that shows the rear, you can add your sound system, throw a couple of magazines in the back or in the back seat, maybe a milk crate with some records or spray paint or maybe some quarts of oil. It's really endless. And then if you have decals for the gauges, you can throw those on there. And if you don't, I mean, Canobin's Customs, Doug, he told me to go ahead and foil the bare metal foil the gauge cluster, painted flat black, and then with a fine, while it's not dry, well, it's not fully dry, but it's not wet. You grab a fine Q-tip. I use those ones from Tamiya, and I kind of dip it in a little bit of paint thinner and rub against the tick marks, the speedometer, all that, and it removes the paint and reveals the chrome foil. So that's how you detail the gauge cluster when you don't have decals. What else? For instance, if I want to do a different shifter, I have that option. If I want to do two-tone, not only on the seats, but on the door cards as well, the door panels, if I want to cut some Lexan plastic and simulate a window halfway rolled down, if I want to add the club's plaque on the back or on the front passenger or front driver window, if I want to do decals on the windows, but if you're looking at from the outside, it kind of blends in with the interior. You don't want to tint the windows because you want to see what's inside of the car, and it also kind of helps a little contrast a little bit the interior with the decal, if that makes any sense. I like doing special touches like that. Maybe dice from the rear view mirror. There's just endless possibilities, right? You can detail an interior countless ways to your liking, and that is why it's my favorite part of the build. I really do enjoy the polishing, like cutting up the paint and stuff. I like that because I don't think about anything while I'm doing it. It takes me about 2-3 hours, depending on if I'm drinking or not. But my favorite part is the interior. It's something that to me is more important than anything else, because like I said, on a real car, I ride inside. I don't ride on the outside. So that's where I'm at with the favorite part of a build is the interior. Edgar, I really enjoy listening to your podcast, especially these little one-on-one IG segments. I really like these. It helps me know who's out there building and what they're building. Even reach out to them for advice, or just pick their brain, like, hey, how did you approach this? Or that was pretty cool, man, and it gives me ideas. So keep up the great work, man. I appreciate it. I know everybody else does. Shout outs to everybody that's building, and any newcomers. I mean, we welcome you guys. LUGK all day. Shout out to all the club members. And yeah, man, thanks for having me on this segment. And I'll make it short. I don't want to bore anybody. Sometimes I bore myself. So peace out.
Hey, Edgar, what's up? It's Alfonso Camacho, MCBA _Alfonso 90744 on Insta. My bench, I got a few things on here. I got a Nissan R390 GT, doing some detail work on it. Engine is coming along. Getting the body set up, prepped on a 65 lowrider. That one's fully opened up. Gonna do some more detail on that. It's gonna take a while. Still haven't decided on paint, like always. Other than that, just doing some body work on a few things, trying to get them ready for paint. But staying busy. Hope everybody's doing well.
Hello, everyone. My name's Javier. I got a question here from 65 Lokes from Scale Riders. What did I love about model building as a kid? So I started building models when I was, I think, like 11 or 12 years old. The first thing that I love off the bat was the model car culture is lowriding. The lowrider cars were my favorite cars growing up. I always loved, all kinds of muscle cars. I still to this day. But there was something about lowrider cars and the Latino culture that I just connected with, and my love came out of that. The first time I saw a candy paint job, my cousin Ralph had a Blazer. He had a lowrider Blazer, and it was candy green, and I just fell in love with it. It was really cool. He let me turn it on. I remember I got in the driver's seat and everything, and we went out for a cruise, and we went out to the freeway and everything. And my love came out of that. That was the first time before that I didn't really know much about lowriders. I never really seen one. And I remember how people in the street were looking at us like, wow, that's so cool. That's such a nice ride. And, it was like, wow, you knew right away, the car you were in was a lot different than all the other cars driving around. So my biggest thing was that I just love for cars. And I think that's something that a lot of us car guys that we share. I didn't realize it till I was much older how many people build models. At the same time, when I used to build them as a kid, there was a place down here in San Carlos called J&M Hobby House. About 2 years ago, they closed their doors forever, and I remember I went down there, and I told the two owners, I said, I never thought about this until now, and I wanted to come tell you guys that part of the reason why I stayed out of the streets and out of trouble was because I was building models as a kid. There's just some satisfaction about getting a box and ripping it open and, cleaning all the parts and everything, separating it and planning it in your head, how you were going to paint it, what you were going to do to it. And then the gratification when you were done that you accomplished it. I remember even my relatives were like, wow, you built that? And then, of course, Lowrider Magazine, did Lowrider Bicycle Magazine, that started coming out. And, you started seeing names like Armando Flores, Gary Seeds, David Anthony Garcia. And you were like, wow, they took this to another level. I'd never seen anything like that. Real candy jobs. At the time, I was only using Tester's paint. They had the little cans of the candy red that lasted you for very little. And then, you had to grab another can and all that, and it was cool and everything. But around that time I started airbrushing, and I had a cousin, Mario, that had a body shop down the street, and I asked him, hey man, can you get me some paint? And he got me some real paint, and I was able to spray it, thin it down enough to spray it through the airbrush. I also used a lot of nail polish because it was thin enough that you could spray it. And that kind of upped my level. And a lot of us that are into building model cars, we grew up to have other skills, like blue collar trades that plumbers do, construction. I'm good with my hands. I can work and build a lot of things, and I still paint to this day. I build a lot of other things, and I'm such a creative person, and I owe that a lot to building models. It all started with models, and it's always going to be very near and dear to my heart. And of course, the years passed. The Lowrider Bicycle Magazine started, showing how to do the fuzzy fur, and I was running down the Radio Shack trying to get the motors and everything to do the switches, to make the hydraulics, to make it hop. We owned a business in Redwood City, and every once in a while I run into someone that is like, oh, I remember you from the business. You were always building those little cars, and I remember you used to hop them over there with your friends and everything. I had a buddy that lived where we had the business. He lived a couple houses behind there, Arturo Hirgaria, and his brothers build models, and he built models. And, we were just all like a small group of guys that were into these cars and these models. And, the friendships that came out of that was also pretty cool. But, going to school and showing everyone what you accomplish, what you build, was pretty awesome. It's a pretty awesome feeling of gratification, all the time spent. We all know, everyone that builds models knows how much time it takes to do those things. I think a lot of my patience comes from that. And a lot of skill sets, you learn how to, you got to prep these things. You got to wash them right. You got to sand them. You got to paint. I'm a custom painter. Right now I'm working on I have a 96 Impala, and I did all the interior, the plastic. And it's funny. It's like I'm building my own model car again, except it's one that I'm going to be able to drive when I'm done with it. And, you still got to prep everything, make sure everything is nice and sanded just right so the paint sticks. The creativity. I remember I could walk into a hobby store and look at a model, and I could already visualize it in my head. Oh, I want to paint it candy red, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. Also, you get a lot of a lot of creativity comes from looking at these lowrider magazines. Man, you're like, wow, how is this guy doing that? I remember I was blown away the first time I saw Loco 64 from Armando Flores. I couldn't believe that it was real. I had no idea how he did it at the time, and it's just amazing. Still to this day, one of the best models I've ever built. And, you want to be like that. You want to emulate people and go, oh, look, I want it like that. I want to, have it more look candy red, cranberry. And so all the love came out of that. I still airbrush to this day. I do all kinds of work. I do, from small things to big projects, and it all comes from the love of lowriders, from building those cars. And I am and will always be grateful for that. It's something that I hold very near and dear. I still have a couple. I think I have a original 64, the blue one on the box, and a couple other models I have in there put away. And eventually, when I get done with my jobs, I'm going to set some time away and get back into it and see what I can come up with as an adult. Much love and much respect to all the people out there who build models. I met Edgar actually at a Danny D class in Redwood City. He did a paint class, and I didn't know that people were still into building models until I talked to Edgar and another guy named Luis. And they're like, yeah, we still, we do this culture. And I went online. I didn't have an Instagram at the time, and I went on there and just was blown away that there's so many good clubs out there that are still building models and all that. So much props to that, to keeping the culture alive. It's a wonderful thing. If you have kids, I highly recommend, you get your son a model car and build it with them and teach them a good skill set, get them off their phone for a little bit. A lot of us from this age, we're built different. We have these set skills, and I owe it all to my love of model cars.
What's up, guys? Brando here again. So, a little insight on my most recent build. I built the AMT 1950 Chevy 3100 pickup. I built one about 4 years ago for my dad. He learned how to drive on that specific model of truck, so I built one and had him walk me through what he remembered about it. And then a couple years later, I bought another one, and I wanted to do more of a weathered, rusty look. Kind of the opposite. The other one was restored, so I went ahead and got the parts taken out. This is back in January, February. I got all the parts prepped up. I gouged out the panels and the body and cabin hood and stuff, and created a bunch of damage. And then I airbrushed the truck with a rust color. So after that, I dabbed a little bit of dark rust on it with a foam brush, and I wanted to try the salting method for the rust look there. So basically, I salted it up a little bit and put it back in the box, and it sat around for months and months, and here we are. We had the recovery build off kick off, and I pulled it out of the stash, and it's the only build I haven't finished after starting. It's really the only one I've set aside, so it was a good time to get it finished. So I had a hard time getting motivated to start it. I was working on a couple other projects too, I believe, but I wrapped those up, and then just having a hard time getting motivated. But some of the guys helped me get moving on it, and that was good. The timing of it was kind of off a little bit because my dad wasn't doing very well, and I was doing a lot of traveling on the weekends to go visit him. And so it was just a difficult time getting through that build, but nevertheless, the process to start the second round was I wasn't too thrilled with where I laid the salt, and I actually had a hard time, if I remember right, placing it exactly where I wanted it to be and such. So I figured I'd reverse the method, and what I did was knocked all the salt off, and for the most part doused the cab and all the parts in water, and didn't leave them sopping wet, but left them damp, and then added salt all around the entirety of each panel and the cab and the hood and all that. So from there, what I did is I removed salt to be able to reveal the paint, so it's kind of just backwards there. You usually just add salt where you want rust to be revealed, but with this process, I removed salt where I would want paint to be shown. So, I did the salting. I let it dry real well, and then I sprayed it with a generic hairspray. I wanted to try the hairspray method as well, so I sprayed it with the hairspray before I painted it. So now 2 methods deep that I haven't tried before. And then I wanted to try a paint I haven't tried before, so I got a little can of lacquer blue from Mr. Hobby. And the hairspray I didn't let sit for more than a minute, and then I put about between 3 and 5 coats down, so that way the paint would get past the salt and lay flat down on all the surfaces I wanted it to adhere to, and different layers or different numbers of coats here and there depending on that hue. I learned a lot about lacquer paint there compared to acrylic. So I let the paint dry and took all the parts in the cab and went under cold running water, knocked all the salt off, and then that looked pretty good from there. But then I took a small industrial brush and knocked some more paint off with that where the hairspray didn't let the paint stick too well, which I guess is the rhyme and reason for it there, so that way you can chip off some more paint. That worked well, so now I'm excited to try the salting and hairspray again in the future. So I did that, and then I did a little bit of sanding as well, here and there, not a lot of that. All my previous weathered builds have been enamel paints for the most part, except for the last one, which was a Jeep, which was all just brushwork and all mostly sanding techniques, so it was good to switch it up there. So then I added a lot more detail with brush and a Vallejo weathering kit, and a hand brush, and just kept adding and went pretty far with it there. So yeah, it's a good old rust bucket. So there's that. I went ahead and got all the other parts painted up and detailed with grime and grit and rust and such. And the one thing I liked in particular, which I like about most of the weathered builds I've done, is adding the detail to the windows and the windshield and scratching up the windows and such. You can just take an X-Acto blade and make cracks in the window just by etching a line in them. So that works out pretty well too if you're trying to add damage to windows. And then I just do like a flat black wash and maybe a little brown and dirty them up, and that's about it. Just lots of little detail. Weathered builds take me substantially longer than like a newer look or a shiny look, probably 2 or 3 times longer overall. Most of you guys know I work pretty quickly on builds overall, but like these weathered ones, they get me. So, but it was good. It was good to do that. But yeah, getting through was difficult. Many of you know, like my father wasn't doing well just 5 weeks ago now. He passed away in the midst of that build, in fact. So it's become a tribute build to his life, and yeah, I'd imagine he would enjoy it if he's still here. And yeah, I'm proud to have made it in his honor. So I'm glad to have gotten through it. I felt a sense of relief once I finished it. The last few hours of it were super, super emotional. I buried a lot of my heart and soul into it. So, but overall, it went together well, and in fact, it went together pretty crooked actually, and which was good. Let's see, I made the bed. That's another little detail there that worked out really well. I used old popsicle sticks from a coaster that my girlfriend had made years ago, and it was kind of falling apart. So I asked her to use it, and I was able to use all those little sticks, for the bed. I took one of them and soaked it in water and then wrapped it around a plastic lid for a Tupperware container, strapped it down with rubber bands and let it dry, and then, unbound it, and it worked out real well. I got a nice warped piece of wood in the bed there. I got a milk crate in the back from Iceman Collections. I'm going to take some new final photos. The lighting was really bad that day. I couldn't find great lighting, and I didn't get as much of the details that I'd like to in photo form, so expect new photos for the build-off part of things. So, but yeah, I think that's about it. I really enjoyed the build. I'm excited to move forward now, and thank you all out there for your support. And I want to thank my family and my girlfriend and everyone for the support and encouragement as always. And everyone out there, keep building, have a good time, and keep doing your thing, make cool stuff, and I'll see you guys out there. Build on. Oh yeah, and Edgar, thanks for having me on here again. Appreciate it, man. See you guys.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Dennis, and I'm currently working on two different models, both from Aoshima, and one's a Hilux or Hilux New Old School, and the other one's a custom. So the paints on them are both from Tropical Glitz. I posted a picture of one of them already with the clear on it, and I'm trying to get them ready for Atlanta here in 2 weeks. And the good thing about them are that right now they're curbside, so it's a lot less work, but I'm still trying to make it look nice and everything. The kit goes together really good. So far, the paint and everything has come out spectacular. So when I get them assembled, I can post pictures and show everybody what what I finished and what I brought out. They're just curbside, but they're really nice kits. And one of them has the Javrese mini truck wheels on it, and the other one will be using Aoshima wheels. But I brought something out to get back into modeling, because, you got to have that feel for it to, want to work on something. I've been wanting to work on things for a while now, but, slowly, because I have so many different hobbies, but I'm trying to get back into it slowly. So I got a lot of things on my table, to work on. I need some stuff finished for friends and everything, but that's what I'm working on right now. And, they're looking really good. Looking really good, and I can't wait to share it with everybody, once I get done. And hopefully my vision comes the way I want it to come out. So I'm looking forward to showing everybody what I came out with, and just to share with the community, with everybody out there listening to Scale Riders podcast and everything. So thanks for listening to my little story. It's not long, but letting you know what I'm working on and what I'm doing. So, like I said, it's a curbside. I got a few other cars that I'm working on also, and hopefully I get them done by next year. Have a Monte Carlo I've been working on forever, and got a car haul I'm working on in a dually, and hopefully next year I can get them done. It's just finding the time between family and everyday life and work and other hobbies that I have, that I do, and just trying to use my time wisely, which is, like, for all of us, really hard to do, because we have one thing on mind, but then when we start doing it, we do something totally different, or it takes longer than what we planned on doing. But I'm going to try to bring out more models. I need to get back into it, work on more than just one or two a year. I need to do a few more, but when you do models and you have a certain criteria that you try to do and outdo yourself, you become your own worst enemy. So a lot of you out there listening, I hope you see what I'm talking about. And, I'm probably going through the same thing I'm going through, because sometimes you just don't feel like doing nothing. And then when you feel like doing something, it's at the last minute, and then you rush or either mess up or anything like that. But hopefully, you get out of that slump. And that's what I'm trying to do, get out of that slump. I look at my models every day, I always have a vision. And, listen to the podcast, listen to everybody else that inspires you, go on to shows, and inspires me, and it should inspire you guys too. And people who can get out there to some shows and just have fun. You meet people, have a good time. And thanks, Edgar, and putting on Scale Riders podcast. Everybody can hear all these stories from everybody else. And this is just a little story from me. Thank you, guys.
Hey, this is Scott from Scott Scale Builds. Edgar had reached out to me a couple days ago to explain a process that I use on wet sanding and polishing my models after a clear coat job. Usually I'll wait about 3 to 5 days after the clear coat has fully cured until I start doing anything at all with any kind of sanding or anything. So once you've verified that you're good and cured, so you could actually do stuff, you'll start with your wet sanding process. I use a wet sanding sponge Stevens International is the company of sponges that I use, and the grits go from 3,200 to 12,000 grit. I'll usually start with a 3,600 grit, but it all depends on what your clear coat job actually looks like with the amount of orange peel that you have. If you could spray it out really good and it lays down super smooth, then you can pretty much start out with a 3,600 grit or a 4,000 grit. What I usually do is I'll take a small bowl of water and put a couple of drops of dish soap in it just to sort of give it a little bit of lubrication while you sand and just kind of make it easier on yourself. When you start, you'll want to make sure that you go left to right or up and down, but whichever direction that you start sanding. So if you're sanding the left or right side of the car and you're wanting to do a door or something, you go left to right first, so front to back of the car. That grit, you're going to sand front to back on the entire car. So every panel, you'll make sure you sand that one direction, and you'll sand it to completion till you feel like it's good enough that you have gotten the orange peel out, or enough of it to where you feel comfortable with a finish that you want. And then you will take your water and the body of the car, completely rinse the bowl out, put new water in it with a couple of drops of dish soap, and you'll want to wash the body of the car as well. What this does is it gets all the grit from the previous sandpaper that you were using, so you're not contaminating that again with the finer grit in the next step. That's pretty important, because you could really mar up a surface if you're sanding with 6,000 grit and there's 3,200 or 2,000 grit still floating around the bowl or on the body of the car. That really would kind of defeat the whole purpose. But whenever you get that done and changed everything out and wash your body, the next grit that you sand with, you'll go the opposite direction of what you sanded previously. So if you started left to right on a door, you're going to go up and down. Same with the trunk. If you went left to right, you're going to go up and down. So anything on the car that you sanded the opposite direction of, you're going to do the complete opposite with that new grit. And that'll go on until you go from the 3,600 or 4,000, whatever you start with, all the way up to 10 or 12,000 if you want to go that far. Just when you sand, you want to make sure that the sponge actually does the work. You don't want to bear down too hard. If you bear down too hard, you could have underlying sand marks that kind of won't come out, and you'll see them at the final couple of stages of polishing. And that really is kind of disappointing whenever you've done all that work and you can't get the underlying scratches out, and you think, well, what did I do wrong? Just really let the paper and the sponge do the work. Don't really give it too much pressure. That really makes a huge difference. I'd also like to add that whenever you are sanding all this stuff, if you have a sharp edge like a body line or like edge of a fender or bumper or something like that, maybe even the top of the door or the drip rail or something like that on a truck or car that you're working on, take some tape and tape those areas off. You don't have to tape the whole entire panel. Just make sure you lay the edge of the tape right over that high area, body line or whatever it is, in order to avoid sanding through that down to the primer or all the way down to the plastic. That's pretty important, because it's super easy, especially if you don't have a lot of coats of paint or clear on one, to just cut right through and go all the way back down to plastic or primer and have to start all the way over again. If you follow these steps, your wet sanding job should be pretty straightforward and no hassles. Just make sure, like I said, don't go too heavy-handed, tape off any edges, always wash the body and change the water out in between grits, and you'll have a pretty good finish to start polishing on. Now we're going to move on to polishing once you've got all your wet sanding completed and body cleaned again. This is the process that I use. It involves using a Dremel or a similar tool to that, and also there are small polishing pads that you can get that chuck up inside of a end of a Dremel or whatever tool you may have. These are found on Amazon, and I can send Edgar a link if anybody's interested. Maybe he could start carrying them, or either send you guys a link or something like that, or post it up on on his page or something, but hopefully it'll help you guys out. These are pretty much the same kind of pad that you would use when you polish a 1-to-1 car. So each pad will have a different softness to it. So it starts out from like a coarse to a medium and then a fine or a extra fine. I usually start with a coarse grade pad and a cutting compound. And the compound that I use is a Meguiar's Ultimate Compound or either a Meguiar's Scratch X 2.0. These work pretty well. I haven't had any bad luck with them. I use a lot of different compounds since I detail 1-to-1 cars, but this is just something that's not going to break your bank and kind of goes a long way for what it is for what we do with model cars and smaller bodies and stuff like that. But you'll want to take your compound and the green pad in this set that you'll get, and you will prime the pad, which is basically taking some compound and putting it on your pad, rubbing it into the pad, and then taking that pad and rubbing it on the surface of the car to sort of spread the compound out and get it ready to work. Once you've spread the compound around on the surface of the car without turning your machine on, you'll then turn the machine on the lowest speed setting that it has. So my Dremel, the lowest speed setting is like a 5 or something, I believe. And once that's on, whenever you touch the surface of the car, you're going to want to continuously move. So whenever you start working an area, you'll want to go in a crosshatch pattern, which is like left and right overlapping each other. And then once you've completed left to right, then you'll go up and down. The speed that you'll be working with will be pretty consistent and will not require very much pressure. If you put too much pressure on it, you'll wind up burning through your paint and clear and going down to the plastic, or even worse, warping a panel. It's very possible to warp a panel, especially if you put a lot of heat to it and have a lot of speed to your pad while it's rotating. So constant movement and low pressure is very important in order to avoid doing this. Once you've used that crosshatch pattern and worked the product in until it pretty much disappears or turns a oily looking consistency, this lets you know it is worked to the point of being wiped off or the end of its life. So you'll want to wipe that off, but you'll want to wipe it off with a very good quality microfiber cloth, not a utility microfiber cloth or anything like that. Nothing cheap that you get from like the parts store or Walmart or something like that. You'll want a higher GSM cloth. The higher the number, the more plush the cloth will be and the softer it will be, which will result in no marring or scratching, pretty much taking away all the hard work that you've just done to get that finish. So just keep that in mind. Use a really good plush microfiber cloth that's a good quality, and you won't be taking 20 steps back once you've done all that work. Once you've wiped the surface off after that first round or so of polishing with compound, you'll want to assess it and see that you're actually doing something. So you should start to see pretty immediately that all those sanding scratches are starting to come out, and you'll see a lot of improvement in the surface. Sometimes it might take 1 or 2 passes with the cutting compound, depending on which level of coarseness you went through with sandpaper. I usually go up to 12,000, so I'm usually knocking out the cutting compound phase with 1 pass, and I'm ready to go to polishing after that. But if you went only to, say, 6,000 or something like that, or I've heard some people that polish and only do 2,000 grit, and really, I mean, you got to polish pretty hard, and you run the risk of burning through stuff. But once you've wiped it off and seen whether or not you're doing anything, like I said, you might have to repeat that process again, but you're going to want to do that through the whole body of the car. So use that same process on each panel, just covering 1 panel at a time, taking your time. Just remember to move the polisher consistently, not that much pressure, and on the lowest speed setting. This way you'll assure that you're not going to burn anything up or anything like that. Once you've went through all the compounding that you need to do on everything, you'll want to move to the next step, which will be polish. I usually use Meguiar's Ultimate Polish, And in these polishing pads that I get off Amazon, it is a blue pad, which is a medium pad. You'll use the same process that you use when you were compounding to do the polishing process. Just take your time. Don't rush anything. Don't push down too hard. No pressure on anything. Keep from burning stuff up. And same as when you're wet sanding. If you got any high areas like body lines or anything like that, like a corner or something, or just the area where you think the paint may be thin, especially on a corner, just take some tape that little area up, and you don't have to worry about burning through it with the buffer, because it will take no time to burn straight through there and go all the way down to plastic or primer. So just keep that in mind when you're doing that, and it should work out pretty well. Once you've polished all panels that need to be polished on the car, you're pretty much done with the process. You can put a glaze on it if you want to. That's pretty much overkill, but I mean, I do it. It works very well, but it's just another little step to add a little pop to it. So I usually use a Adams Polishes glaze for mine, and it's used with the red pad, which is your fine pad. But it's just only pretty much apply it. There's no speed or anything. You could do it by hand, really. You could put it on with that little red pad, just rub it on by hand, let it haze over, wipe it off, and it's ready to go. You're ready to take it and clean off all the compound or polish or anything that may be stuck in the panel lines. I usually take a super soft toothbrush and just run it under the water in the sink and just scrub the panel lines. And it's pretty much done. And one last step that I do that I've just recently started doing is I apply a ceramic spray to my models. This really makes them pop, and also kind of deters fingerprints just a little bit. It doesn't really matter which brand of ceramic spray you use, because there's so many out there right now. I just use whatever I pick up that I may have in the garage. You could use, I think Meguiar's even makes a ceramic spray that I'm pretty sure is good. I haven't used it yet, but just pick up whatever you could afford. I mean, there's nothing really that's very necessary. It's just something to add that little pop to it at the end. If you guys could do all that, then you'll pretty much have a really good finish on your model if everything works out right and you just take your time. I really hope this has helped you guys. If you have any questions or anything, don't hesitate to shoot me a message on Instagram, Scott Scale Builds. I'll try to help any way I can. I enjoy helping people with understanding this process. I've helped a lot of people even with the 2K clear spraying process, so I enjoy it. So like I said, if anybody has any questions, just shoot me a message. I'll be happy to help. Hope this helps, guys.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I hope you guys enjoy this episode of Scale Riders Podcast, number 188. It was fun putting this together. Shout outs and thank you to Brandon, Andres, Alcamacho, Javier, Dennis Matthews, and Scott Scale Builds for providing all this information and content to make this episode possible. There will be more episodes like this in the future. So far right now, I kind of been doing them like once a month. But eventually it'll evolve into maybe a couple in a month, Next week I'll be, going back to interview, a guest as it showed. How, I guess, what would you say, like regular programming or whatever? I don't know. But anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying these episodes, every week trying to provide new content and just interviews, and, just love hearing the stories from everybody and the experiences, because it's always new. Everybody has a different take, and, us modelers, we're everywhere. We're in different parts of the world. So it's always nice to hear that different perspective, and also just the stories of, seeing things for the first time, tinkering it with it, trying to figure out where can I get more, and just being exposed to a lot of different things, So that's very cool. Like that, and and as the more episodes we do like these involving with the community, they will evolve. They'll be a little bit structured a little better, I would say. Right now, it's just going with the flow. Going with the flow and just trying to figure out what would be the best way to structure an episode like this. They are fun to do, though. I mean, I love listening to the clips and just kind of editing and putting the whole thing together. It's like a project, you know, and then just having enough time to piece it all together, which is like super fun, right there. Right now, I'm recording using one of my AirPods, just trying to see how this sounds compared to without them. So if you just notice a difference, that's pretty much what it's going to be right there. And there's a lot of different model builds I have on my table currently. I'm still working on my Liberty Walk Lamborghini. There's also a Gloria that I just popped open the other day. It has this really nice and unique like body kit that it reminds me a lot of the Bosozoku style cars from Japan. And I got it all glued up. I added some styrene to it. It's primered. I'm I'm just haven't really decided yet as far as the paint. I'm just kind of looking online, getting some inspirations, trying to see like what color would I want to do next because I almost feel like I want to do a pearl color. I constantly been doing a lot of blues, a lot of dark colors. Now I just want to see what else I can do with like some pearls. It's been a while. I miss spraying pearl paint. So that's one. I'll end up posting photos of it later. I haven't posted anything, any progress of it, but that's been one that's been super fun putting together. And at the same time, I have the high A span. That's another one that's in the works. There's also the another high A span that has the vanning additional parts that go onto it. So that one's primered. It's in a little plastic case that I purchased a while back. So I just kind of put it in there so this way it doesn't get dusty at all, you know. Um, and then there's that GTR, the blue GTR with the Bayside blue. That's another one. And I mean, a lot of these cars, I've been rotating them. Doing the rotations have been super fun, keeping things fresh. And, I get excited staring at them, seeing like at the different steps, like that they're at, getting close to the completion portion. Because I did enjoy them during the bodywork process. I enjoyed them during primer stages, and then now the paint, and now they have the clear added on there too. And now to give you guys an update on the Scale Riders online web store, scaleriders.com. We do have some new items that did appear from the previous recording that we did. And we now have Scale Riders cement holders for the Tamiya bottles. You could also fit your panel line bottles on there. And you should also be able to fit those Mr. Hobby square bottles as well. And there's also a holder for the CA glue from Bob Smith Industries that we have, and also a holder for your decal solution, the Microsol and Microset. Those are all under the Scale Riders section on the website. And we finally restocked on some Scale Motorsport. We were out of stock on a lot of that carbon fiber. I trip out how much carbon fiber is used. Back then, I would see it, but I wasn't really paying too much attention to it. I'm talking about like 2 years ago or so. But now, I'm aware of it. It's in front of me, and I see it in a lot of builds, and I mean, it makes a big difference. It looks very beautiful. We did add more items aside from the carbon fiber that we didn't have before on the website. We now have their decal vault, which is like a folder-ish kind of uh, protective. It's pretty much the quality. It's a museum quality archival paper. So your leftover decals, whatever you open up out of the packaging, you can slide it in this. You can fold it and you can protect it. So this way, it's it's stored away. On the outside, it also has like little lines where you can write the date of when you possibly purchased it or you last used. So this way you kind of keep records of that too. Make it kind of fun right there. We also got some of that Fox Fabric textured spray paint that can be used for like the interiors, for the seats. It could also be, sprayed in the trunk or tonneau covers. Like there's just various things. It sprays in a red, but obviously you can paint over that as well to get that color. Another thing was like their cutting mat by Scale Motorsport, their hobby knife, and microfiber. If you come across those items, and by now if they're sold out, I mean we will be stocking more of it. They're really neat to see. I always like seeing like branded items come out. So I was like, dude, I gotta get these into the store. And moving on to Gun Primer, it's another brand that we recently received of like a restock shipment. We were out of stock of some of their stuff for a while, and we did receive the Grita, which is pretty much a scriber. Uh, the handle is pretty much like a pen, and it has like the small little pin on there attached where you use it, to scribe your panel lines, and it works really well when you're scribing curved areas, circular areas, because the tip is not flat, as opposed to other chisels where they're flat. Those are more directed towards like a straight line. This one here is more universal, where you could move in different directions there. So that's a really good piece to add to the tools. I use this a lot. When I had to scribe in a new gas tank onto my Civic, I used the template square with the round edges to use right as a template, but then I had to use the Grita to scribe inside of it. And I mean, I had it taped down and everything. And yeah, I mean, I was a little worried, but everything went smooth and it came out really clean. It almost just looks like it came, like the kit came like that. There's also the balancer. There's a balancer gray and a balancer white. These are very fine sanding sticks, or more like pads. The one that's the white, that's more of an ultra fine abrasive. It comes in a 3-pack, and then you also have the balancer gray, which is a little bit more aggressive, the scratch remover. So these are ones that you can use hand in hand together. I've seen people use them and tell me about glass. They use them to clean a lot of the glass on there. So it looks really, really nice. There's also this new product they came out with, the runner clip. So they have a starter kit that's pretty nice, and then there's also an add-on runner clip, which comes with like 4 pieces on there. And pretty much what this is, the runner clip is it holds onto the your tree. Runner clips, that has all the parts. So if you're building a Gundam or even a car kit or a motorcycle kit, and you have all these trees spread out, and we always tend to stack them on top of each other. We also have to dig for them. But if you kind of want to spread them out and have them standing up, you could use these stands, these runner clip stands. They clip onto the bottom and they hold it up. You'll be able to see pictures of it through our website on there. On that, it looks super neat. And also, there's a new shipment that's coming in. It won't arrive until next week, but we will be carrying some of the Alclad paints as well. We've gotten a lot of requests for that, so those are coming in. There's also been requests for Mr. Hobby products. We're getting more of those in as well. With Mr. Hobby lately, what came in is like their Mark Softer, their cement bottle. They're also their compounds. They have a coarse, a fine, and a super fine. So those are new products. And then from Ken's Fuzzy Fur, we did get the black and charcoal. Those seem to be like the most sought after fuzzy furs that we tend to sell out quite quickly when we get those in. But we still have black, and we have more coming in right there. And the MagnaCraft magnets are also available as well. So there's just a lot of variety of different things, HIQ parts, uh, color chips, circular masking, sticker tape is also up there on the site. But next week, look out for some Alclad stuff that's going to be coming in. We do have some listed, but we're still adding more daily. So by the time it should be in by next week, you should be able to see what's available from Alclad. So hope you guys enjoyed that episode and be checking out. So keep on building, guys. Peace out. And just before we go, a word from Armando Flores. Thank you, Armando.
Let's pick out the pieces. This is Armando Flores from Masterpieces Association. And I have experienced the car model culture for 30 years and still doing it. I enjoy it. I love it. One of my favorite car model is a 1964 Impala. That's the one that is always, I have fun with it. It opens different ideas. But there's many. There's AMTs, there's AMPC, Revels, Tamiya, and I have experienced all those too. But most of all, I gained so many friends through the car model industry. And I've been working on this Genocide Car Club presentation that I'm gonna do next year. And it's gonna be called the Pink Motel. And this is inspired by their party that they do every year. And I can't wait to start building that Pink Motel because it's crazy. But right now I'm working on this Heart of Gold. It's a 64 Impala, one of my favorites. And man, I've been having so much fun because the challenge is there. And if I can accomplish that, then I'm gonna be satisfied with that. But there's like plenty cars from Genocide. And I'm gonna have people work on some other models for that presentation. So I can't wait for next year. And also, I wanna say, thank you, Scale Riders. It's a platform that I will keep supporting, and I would like to see modelers as an artist now. I don't want to see them as just a car model builder or whatever. I want them to think that we are artists. We all have different ideas. And as long as you enjoy those ideas, that's what counts, no matter what anybody says. So I want to thank Edgar for providing us with these great stories. I mean, I can't believe that he's almost to 200 podcasts, and everyone is great. Everyone has a flavor. You always learn from any podcast. And if you're a new listener and you haven't listened to the previous ones, I recommend you listen to them because there's a lot of history that no one has provided the world regarding car models. So have a great time, enjoy the models, and let's pick up the pieces.